1949 and went to Detroit working on assembly line. The first year they had me putting wheels on Cadillacs.
You like this song?
Every day I'd watch them beauties roll by, and sometimes I'd hang my head and cry, because I always wanted to be one that was long and flat. One day I divided myself and planned.
We're waiting for some people to come on.
I'd sneak it out of there in my head. Now getting caught with getting fired,
Let us know where you're calling from, where you're viewing from.
I get it one piece at a time, and it doesn't cost me a dime. You know it's me when I come through your town.
All right, we're gonna get started. Guys, we have Adam Neff with us today. He is a 26-year firefighter from Nixa Fire District in Missouri. So let us know where you're located in the country, in the world. If you're at home, give us an AH. If you're at the department, give us, you're in your department. And today, Adam, I'm privileged and honored to have him come and talk to us. Do we have feedback?
I hear you fine.
Okay, somebody slap me a Y if it sounds good. Like, yes, sounds good. You can hear us.
I hear you fine.
Okay, so it's just me. That's fine. I can deal with it.
Yeah.
So I asked him earlier in the week about coming on and talking about any topic in particular, and I opened this up to people, and he really wanted to discuss how success equals effort. So, Mr. Adam, take it away.
Awesome. So I post a lot about success equals effort, and I ask this question a lot because sometimes we have a misunderstanding about what success is or what it looks like. And sometimes we forget that success looks differently for everybody. A lot of times when we're talking about success, we're really kind of relating it to a goal. Like if I run 26 miles, then I'm successful. But no one jumps up off the couch and runs 26 miles without training. And every one of those training days is a success because we put in the effort to do it. So what I'd like to do with our gracious host today is talk about a little bit about how success equals effort. And this really kind of started off with a lot of the development and leadership type stuff that I teach and mentor my own folks and throughout Missouri through different conferences and stuff. And just as a sidebar, this goes along with a huge class. I say huge class. It's about a 4.5 hour, 5 hour class. This is just a small snippet of the success equals effort. And it's really kind of become my mantra over the years. I say the years. At least the last couple of years has been my mantra, and really just try to keep the focus on, putting out good effort. And we've all been around the block. We all know what effort truly looks like. It's not about placating somebody. It's not about really doing the minimal and calling that effort. Effort is different for each one of us. And my effort is not the same as Joe down the street's effort or the same as Allison's effort. All of our efforts are different, and that success is different for everybody. My hands look weird on this. So let's first put it a little bit into context. So got my trusty dry erase pen here, and a couple of things that I want to focus on here is the biggest thing is keep it simple.
The KISS method.
Yeah. Well, I leave off the second S because I don't think anybody is stupid.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because people don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple.
You're like my new Oprah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but The article that I was graciously published that I wrote talks how I relate this to Jocko's book, Extreme Ownership, and the fact that the most followed battle plans are always the ones that are easiest to follow. So if we're looking for followership in ourselves, then it needs to be simple. And the simplest, the better. And if we're trying to gain support for an idea or a project, and we're needing that the people that we're responsible for to follow us, then we definitely need to keep it simple, because the simplest laid plans are the easiest. So we're going to keep it simple. That's the first part of this success equals effort. And the second one is quality over quantity. So Q1 over Q2, and I reference this again in my article, and this isn't promotion of it or whatnot. It's been out for a while, but quality over quantity. If we're not successful with quality, then adding more stuff isn't going to help with that success. So keeping it simple, quality over quantity. So Allison, are you ready?
I am. I'm taking notes as we go too. I hope everyone else is. You got your pens and papers.
Is there other people here? Are they watching?
There is. We have at least a few on here. Let us know who's on.
Honestly, it could just be one, right?
That's fine.
I get asked a lot about the stair climb. I'm involved with the local stair climb. I founded it in 2013. And about every year I get asked, what does success look like to you? And as long as I have one person show up, that's really all I need. I don't need 5,000. I mean, I love it. But at the same token, to me, success equals effort. If I put the effort into it, then I know people will come, and that's what it is. So let's talk about real quick about the difference between visions and goals. So have an end mark. There's a great video, and I'll post it later, from Simon Sinek about the difference between vision and goals. Goals have ends, like the reference I used earlier about the marathon, or if I reach this degree, or if I lose X amount of weight, that's a goal. That's not a vision. So what I'd like to do right now, if I could, Miss Allison, if you could communicate to me what your vision statement is, and even if it is a goal or maybe egotistical statement, which I know it's not, but a lot of times when I'm teaching this concept to firefighters, they go with, I want to be the best firefighter I can be. Well, that's an egotistical statement. I'm okay with that. We can work with that too. But Allison, do you have a vision statement, that mantra that gets you up every single day that you don't mind sharing with us?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to write it down.
It's long.
Okay. Well, I may cliff note it just for the purpose of my space. Okay. Go ahead.
I empower. So empower first responders and spouses.
Okay.
You want me to keep going? Are you writing it?
You just say it all out, and then I'll go from there.
I empower first responders and spouses to stop suffering in silence and become the best versions of themselves.
Okay. Can I... Now, just for clarity, okay, I almost have 2 master's degrees, and I still can't spell. So, give me a little grace. Empower first responders. That's what the FR is, and I'll check the glare on the screen here in just a second.
It's fine.
And spouses to have courage. I'm cliff noting. I know.
That's fine.
To speak up and out about difficulties.
You made it so much longer.
They face.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a good?
Absolutely. That works.
that capture the essence of your, and so
My
everyone
vision.
at
Yeah,
home.
that's my vision. Mhm.
Okay, empower first responders and spouses to have the courage to speak up and out about difficulties they face.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm a threes guy. I don't know why I'm a threes guy. I like things in threes. So give me three things, Allison. We'll write up here vision that you know that you're working towards achieving this vision. And real quickly, vision in itself is believing that you're going to achieve this, but you're never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to achieve it. Does that make sense? Everything that you do is working towards achieving this. That every first responder you come in contact with, every first responder spouse you come in contact, you're going to be able to empower them to speak up and speak out about their difficulties. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even though you come in contact with a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
one's going to take away the same message the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Every day believing that you can accomplish this. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay, well, just hang with me. What's three things that you do that help you achieve this vision statement every day?
Facebook group.
Okay.
Talk to people online.
Reaching out. Is that okay?
Yep.
And then we can put, social media,
Mm-hmm.
text, call, email. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right?
That's just like one area.
Right. I know, but you're going to give me
Okay.
These are subcategories.
Research.
Okay. Can you give me a little?
Keeping up to date on the latest statistics and data. Most utilized platforms that are most effective and efficient for people so that they're not wasting their time. To get them the help or reducing that.
Research of data and statistics for the biggest impact. Is that okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then lastly is my private practice.
Okay.
You put PP.
I don't want to put PP.
Individual counseling. Put counseling. Or you could put counseling or training. I guess.
Services and training.
Sure.
That work?
Absolutely.
Okay. So because we started with the climax, typically what I would do would be success. So how do you measure success for you?
The amount of lives I touch.
Okay. So it's not about the impact you have on those lives. It's just about the people that you come in contact with.
Every life that I come in contact with is an impact.
Right.
So it's the mindset that you put towards it.
So does it matter if one impact is greater than the other for you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Joe has a complete, abstinence from drugs and alcohol.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that would go back to that old wise tale of leadership, that if my firefighters that I'm responsible for are not successful, then it's my fault. Do you believe in that? So
50-50.
if you are not as successful as they could be, is it your fault?
So that's an interesting question. My question back would be, did I give them the tools necessary to be successful?
So in your vision statement of empowering first responders and spouses, we're going to assume that every person you come in contact with and every person that you try to impact, your definition that you have, done all those things And that's what we're trying to communicate to people, right? Because we're assuming that leaders are doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing. We're assuming that counselors are doing everything they're supposed to be doing. There's still a component there that falls on the individual. Maybe a big, a small component. Yes. If I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and I've provided every opportunity I can provide, there's still a component there that falls on that individual. It doesn't mean that I wasn't successful. So that's where we come up with success equals
effort.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I am genuinely putting in effort, and I am genuinely doing everything that I possibly can for clients, for first responders, for subordinates, however you want to categorize them. If I'm doing that, then I'm being successful. That success isn't directly related to an individual outcome. Does that make sense?
Say that last piece again. So success isn't directly related to
an individual outcome.
So what is it related to?
Your effort. Because you can do everything that you're supposed to do. And if your matrix of measurement falls back on that individual's success of not using drugs or alcohol or staying married, if that's what we're using as a matrix of success, then it's going to be all over the board, because you could still do everything you're supposed to do and people are still not going to do what they're supposed to do. Well, that's not a reflection on you. That's a reflection on them.
Right. Absolutely. So, now, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Does fulfillment equal success?
I think kind of depends on the context that you're talking about, right? So if you're asking me specifically, I don't think I'll ever be fulfilled. Fulfillment to me is a lot like a vision statement. There's never an end, right? Simon Sinek's book out right now called Infinite Games, Infinite Mindset, right? So he's talking about we're in the fire service, counseling services is an infinite game, right? There is no end. You can never learn it all. You can never know it all. You can never be satisfied. It's a lifelong commitment to learning, right? And I think people get into these jobs as a finite game, like finite being a baseball, we're going to play 9 innings and then we're done. Fire service is not finite, right? When we have an infinite mindset, and all of this is coming out of Simon Sinek, I'm just applying it to the fire service and as a generality. If we get into that infinite mind, if we're in that infinite mindset and we're arguing or discussing with someone that is in a finite mindset, then we're never going to be fulfilled, because we're still arguing with someone who thinks that there's an end, that we can know it all, that we don't have to train, that we don't have to do the things that we have to do. You can apply that to, professional education, trade-specific training, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're in a finite mindset, you're only doing what you have to do because you're told to do it, not because you feel like there's a need to do it. And even with the completion of me in this other degree program, I'm thinking about, what I'm going to do next, because you're either growing or you're dying. There is no. So nope. I think to me, it goes back to success equals effort, because it's the amount of effort I'm willing to put in for myself, right? Because no one's telling me, you need to go get another master's. You need to go start a private practice. You need to go X, Y, Z. No one's telling me that.
Absolutely not.
So to me, that's why success equals effort, because it's not tied to a specific outcome.
As well as we don't know what outcome is ever going to be. Somebody can assume what you want the game ending score to be. Somebody can assume how you want something to end up. But at the end of the journey, we really don't know. All we know is what we end up putting into it.
100%. 100%.
So what is your vision, Adam?
What a great question. My vision is that I get up every single day to empower the people around me to be better than what they think they can be.
And how are the 3 ways you do that?
I do that through communication. I do that through the events and the things that I'm involved with, both as a participant or as a coordinator or a founder. And the last one is through modeling behavior.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It actually took me a long time to kind of hone that down and to really have a, it's not up here anymore, but a simple message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think the simpler the message, the easier it is to comprehend, and then the easier it is for people to be able to find their vision statement, their 3 methods of how they contribute every single day to try to accomplish or achieve their vision. So
let me ask you this. I get a lot of people when I train or when I coach people and I say, why do you do what you do? Why are you a firefighter?
Right.
And a very general term, which is not a bad one, they'll say to help people.
Yeah.
Great. Can we make that better? Can we make that a little beefier to help their vision going forward?
Sure. So I think it's a worldview issue, right? So I'm going to take a 30,000-foot view, and I promise, just track with me, and we'll get there. So I think what happens is that because we're so conditioned globally to give a canned answer, and we're never asked a follow-up question, it's always worked in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Firemen. Well, to help people, that's a byproduct. No one ever gets into the service, in my opinion, unless you've been predisposed to what the service is, to help people. That's what we tell people, but the genuine answer usually is a variable based on who they are as a person. So let me give you a similar side-by-side comparison, right? There's always room for improvement. That's a very generic canned answer. And the canned answer, for all of you, those looking at home, canned answer is what we stick on the shelf. And if we're asked something in an uncomfortable situation, maybe even a conflictual situation, we go, I'm going to pull off this one. I want to help people. Or I'm going to pull off this one. There's always room for improvement. Yes. But specifically, what are you talking about? Why do you want to help people? And what areas do you want to help them in? And then again, with the keep always room for improvement, specifically, what are we talking about? Areas of improvement. So if we're talking about that original, I want to help people. Great. Tell me specifically how you want to help people. In what areas? That'll help us direct or guide you to find your vision. And maybe it is to be the best firefighter. Great. What does the best firefighter mean to you?
To you.
I don't work in a metropolitan department. I work in a suburban rural department. So although I have a lot of friends who work for very large metropolitan departments, I would not rely on them to draft out of a rural water source because that's not their exposure. So for me, I want to be the best firefighter I can be too, by being dependable, by being trustworthy, by doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, by taking ownership of my mistakes. And all of those things is how I measure and gauge if I'm being a good firefighter. Not if people like me, not if people agree with me all the time. It's the fact that I know, going back to
success equals effort.
If I'm doing those things in my personal life, it's going to bleed over to my professional life and all other aspects, because character is character, no matter what.
And I was going to say, it sounds like that would be stuff that you don't just do at the firehouse or just as a firefighter.
No.
Those are also characteristics as a father, as a mother, as a spouse, as a friend,
yep,
as a leader.
100%. And I think, when we get into that aspect, because you can't turn it off, you can't turn character traits off at will. So you can't be one way during work time and another way at home time. So, you know, a lot of times in the fire service realm, we get, I get told one of the most difficult positions to fill is the out of grade or out of role company officer position, because today I'm the boss and tomorrow I'm the driver. But it's actually one of the easiest as long as your character traits are the same every single day. So it shouldn't change because you've moved over to the front right seat. It should still be the same. If it's not okay today, then it's not going to be okay tomorrow either. So when we talk about trying to make that connection of success versus equals effort and talking about character traits, if guys who are watching, girls are watching, and they're, oh, it's so difficult because today I'm the boss and tomorrow I'm the driver, but it should be the same all the time, not just when you're working in the front right seat. So it goes back to that character trait, right?
I'm gonna shit on you for a second. So I don't like. Yeah.
Okay. Should on me. Okay.
Should. So when we should on ourselves, when we say you should do this, or when we should on other people, people should do this, you're giving unclear expectations. You're going to be disappointed or you're going to be upset. So if we remove that should word and use the word could or would, so it would be a good idea to use the same exact character traits, because it would be the best way for you to easily transition from one position to another without any fault, without any character difficulties, without any break in who you are. Because if you are the same, then that change of position will not be a problem.
Right. I'll chalk that up to consistency. If you're consistent with behavior, then we don't have to worry about shoulding or coulding or woulding. And what you kind of described is what I kind of stumbled on in my own personal career, projecting what my ideas of what a boss and a leader should be. And when that individual or individuals didn't meet up to that or fell short, I was mad at him. I was disappointed in him. And the reality of it was, and it took some time to get there, trust me, it took a lot of time to get there. The reality of it is that I was projecting my ideas of what that leader should do in those instances. And then when they didn't meet him, they fell short and I got upset. But the reality of it was those aren't their values. Those are not their ideas of what the leader should do. So to keep all those things kind of in check, you got to have to kind of self-reflect. And I think you brought up a good point there. And if I can expound on a conflict resolution model, if you will, that I developed through a long time of inserting foot in mouth. So five easy step. And I'm a visual person because we like pictures, right? Can I erase this? Is this okay? Yeah, right. So I get asked a lot about how to deal with conflict. And conflict can be up and down. It can be side to side, maybe with peers. So Allison, if I can ask you, how do you resolve or deal with conflict?
Yeah, before I do that, let us know in the comments if you guys ever had a conflict. Give us a yes if you ever had a conflict with somebody.
Or if you disagree, if you disagree about success equals effort, or if you have a different, your own version of what success looks like. That's the cool thing about this. I think leadership in itself is a philosophy because it's all going to work differently for different people. So I don't think it is a one set way you have to do it. No. It's going to be very fluid. It's not going to be very set in stone. So conflict. So we get asked this a lot, particularly if you're going into a promotion, particularly if you're going into an interview. Is that weird when I throw my hands out? Sorry, I'm a hands guy. So
what's your question again?
My question?
What was your question to me?
How do you deal with conflict? What's your go-to for dealing with conflict?
So one, it depends on the day.
Okay.
Depends on what I call where my pennies are. So I have this thing depending on where I am with my threshold.
Sure.
is I have to check myself. So if my threshold's down, normally I'm impulsive and I will say and spat things off that are not good.
The glass is full. Yep.
My glass is too full, right? If I'm able to have a little higher threshold, I do what's called a pause and process to figure out my best approach that is going to be true to who I am.
Okay.
How I end up handling it
Right.
basically just depends on the situation.
Okay. I like it. There's a lot of variables. How you feeling, what the situation is, where you're at. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, and you have to remember, I mean, I'm in a very different, I deal with corporate America sometimes. I deal with people in crisis. I deal with nonprofits. I deal with I deal with other therapists who have their own personalities. I mean, there's so much that goes into this. I deal with fire departments, police departments. I work at a hospital. So every environment is different. And you really have to look at who your audience is.
Sure.
As well.
Sure. No,
So I have to always make sure I'm true to, I always have to make sure I'm true to myself.
So it sounds like you're really dealing with a firehouse is what it sounds like, but that's okay. So
basically.
I have an easy 5-step process. And I think it could work in the environment that you just described. Because a lot of things that you described are going to be in here, and I think you'll find a connection to them. And I think when people can articulate, hey, we're up to 3 people. Hey, yeah. Well, if that counts as you and I as one, I'm not sure. Okay, so I think when we talk about promotion,
it doesn't.
When we talk about interviewing for that job, there's always a question about, hey, how do you deal with conflict? And what do you do when people don't get along? So this will kind of help them too. Those individuals that are working through that. So self-reflection. And I will say that the majority of the time when I'm dealing with a conflict, I usually don't get past number 1, right? What did I do to contribute to this situation? Because it's not all of their problem. It's not all of their fault, right? I play a part in that too. So number 1, self-reflection. What did I do to contribute to the problem? Number 2, peer sounding. I'll bounce it off somebody else. Hey, am I looking at this wrong? Am I blowing it up? Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? That kind of thing. So I will be able to, go at this, if I get past self-reflection and I get to peer sounding, I need to bounce it off somebody else. Helps me gauge really the next part, right? So the next part, I'm adapting this kind of on the fly with a general population, but the next step is talking it out with the person.
This is one that is so needed. I mean, they're all needed, but this one is so needed, especially in firehouses, because it would reduce so much damn miscommunication and conflict regarding stuff that isn't even a big deal.
Right.
Like, just go and ask them, hey, bud, did you say this about me? No, I don't know. Just be an adult.
Yeah, that's a funny thing about being in the firehouse is everyone that I've talked to anyways want an honest communication. Just be upfront.
Yeah, man, if you have a problem with me, just come to me.
Just come to me. Yeah. I mean, no.
Yeah.
So then you do, and on either end, either we're not receptive to it because we get defensive, or they're not receptive to it and they get defensive. But so we got to talk it out with the person. And if we start with step 1, right, let's say just for saying sake, Allison and I have a conflict, and I go, hey, that light bulb issue the other day, I'm really sorry. I kind of made that bigger than what it needed to be. But honestly, I really think you guys should have handled it versus dumping it on us, because that's what it looked like. And,
no, that was your fault.
right. So
It
because
was not our fault. You were the crew that was supposed to do this. Come
right.
on.
So, but because I put the initial on me going, hey, I kind of blew this up, it lowers your, defensiveness. It allows you to be a little bit more vulnerable so we can have an honest relationship, because hopefully, because I'm coming in and talking to you, that you interpret that as having enough value in our relationship that I want to talk about it. Okay. Number 4, bounce it up to superior. So
I'm going to ask you a question about that.
yeah, so we get through these first 3 steps. Hey, captain. Hey, boss. Hey, I've had this conflict. This is the whole story. This is what happened. Here's the part that I think I played in it. I tried to address it with Joe. Joe was super resistant to it. I understand. I'm just making you aware, blah, blah, blah. The boss, supervisor, whoever is going to be way more appreciative of knowing, try to get both sides of the story, and that you tried to resolve it before you ever brought it to them. Go ahead.
What if you have somebody in, like, let's say a lieutenant or captain's position, and they're having an issue, but it's the issues with somebody above them, and there's nowhere else above to go?
Yeah. So I'm going to give us a really easy answer that's super hard to do. A lot of times we confuse easy with simple, and it's not. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's simple to do. So I think what you're actually building up to a platform. If we have a problem with the next level and there is no level above them, then there's always another level above them, just for the future reference. So for me, let's just say in my organization, I have an issue with the fire chief. I have to go to the board of directors. That's my next. In a municipality, it could be the city manager or it could be the mayor. And, I would have a very distinctive process to go about doing that, to make sure that I wasn't trying to go behind anybody's back, put people on notice and those kinds of things. But you actually just led into our next one, which is acceptance. If I write it small enough and squish it enough together, it's spelled correctly every time. It was a joke, right? So
that's good. That's good.
At some point, we just have to accept the fact that people aren't going to like us, that no matter what we do, there's going to be a rift there. And I can't control all of that. All I can control is how I do moving forward. So if I've done self-reflection, this is the part that I play. If I bounced it off of a peer to make sure that this is not something that's just hit one of my hot buttons, I try to talk it out with the individual. I bounced it up to the next level. And then if none of that stuff resolves the issue, I just have to accept it, the fact that I'm not going to make everybody happy. And that acceptance is such a huge part for me, because you'll get bogged down with trying to figure out who's happy and who's not happy. I have to
Absolutely.
That if people are unhappy with me, that they're going to be adults and they're going to come talk with me about it. And I hope they would expect the same. And it goes back to saying that I used to say all the time. I don't say it as often, but I would rather have an honest relationship than a good one.
And this goes all the way back, and I appreciate this, Adam, because this goes also all the way back. And when you talk about dealing with conflict, it goes all the way back to the effort you put into the conflict too. The effort you put into resolving things or preventing. Not that you can't always prevent a conflict. We're human. We're different people. Right. But how you go into your everyday subconscious mind and the intentions you put into your everyday life and what your vision is.
Right. So we kind of expounded a little bit on vision, success equals effort, conflict resolution. Yeah. Any thoughts, or and I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the the matrix of moving forward. I could be dead wrong. I don't know, but this is the
Wrong or right, what
Yeah.
works for some is going to work for some. I think it's
Right.
great. So what could be some questions you would want people to walk away asking themselves?
I think the biggest one is, what's my vision as an individual? What gets me up every day? What gets me moving? What gets me motivated? Particularly now, because we're in such a weird, contextual time of COVID-19, and things are changing, drastically. And I kind of mentioned this on my own personal page the other day. When this gets over with, we'll get back to normal. I don't think it's ever going to be like it was. So I think the biggest thing is, what's my vision statement? What gets me up every morning? What gets me motivated? What gets me excited? And that in itself may be something that people have to spend some time exploring and self-reflecting, meditating on, or prayer, or whatever it takes to get you there. I think that's the first one. And then the second one would be working on those three things. Like, here's my vision, here's what I'm doing to accomplish those, and then how am I doing? Look, we don't hit home runs every day, right? But I know that with my vision of trying to empower people every single day, I know that I would have to work extremely hard not to achieve my vision, at least to some success every single day. I mean, if I was maybe on my deathbed, maybe, but still, then I would think I would still try to say something that would empower people. We're always capable more of what we think we are. And I think people, generally speaking, make it harder for themselves. They already count on failure, so they don't even try. And I fail all the time. And maybe not failures. Failure is such a permanent, word. Maybe it's I missed the mark, right? Or I wish I could have done a little bit more. I got
And we hear that so
silver
much
instead of gold, But wait a minute, I still trained for 9 months for this competition.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous amount of success in that. So I lost a bunch of weight, and now I got big and fat again. So I'm, disappointed with that. But it doesn't mean that I don't continue to try and put forth an effort.
What's the quote? We may not have won the war. What is it? We may not have won the war, but we won the battle, or something. Or is it maybe be transposed?
The J.J. Watt. Excellence isn't guaranteed every day. Rent is due, and rent gets paid through work. Something to that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think.
Yeah, give us some hearts for that, because J.J. Watt, man, he's a good guy. Like,
I don't know him personally, but everything.
I mean, if anyone does and want us, like, we'll meet him. Like, I would be fine to meet him.
Yeah, so I think that's where we have to get at it, right? We have to look at all the ways that we can put our feelers out there to be motivated, to be inspired, to be to help us set us up on our path. And this is just my path for right now. I can't tell you what it's going to be in 10 years. I know where my path was before. I know where it is now, where it lies now, and what it looks like 10 years from now. I don't know. Right now, success equals effort. And everything that I do and everything that I talk about or try to teach and develop and mentor people comes back to that success equals effort. So
absolutely.
I think for me, and trying to get that message out, particularly to say, look, get your mantra, get your vision statement, get whatever it is that gets you up out of bed. Come up with 3 things that helps you identify that you're achieving those goals or that vision statement. And then just understand that, hey, success equals effort. You're trying to do those things every single day.
Yes. So I know you have your lovely wife and daughter who help bring you motivation. And is there anything else that, really helps fuel your fire?
The mentors that are around me. I've got a ton of mentors. I've got mentors that don't even know they're mentors of mine. And I tell them that they're mentors of mine because I don't think we do a good job of that. And sometimes the mentors are even, they're not always a superior. Does that make sense? I got mentors I was responsible for as their supervisor. And those officers in the firehouse were mentors of mine. And most of those I've communicated. I find inspiration in a lot of different things. I find inspiration in people who are willing, that are so devoted and so convicted in their faith to go to random people's doors to talk about them. So
wow.
there's like Latter-day Saints or Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. Those are just some. I'm sure there's more, but you're talking about an individual that is so convicted in what they're doing that they're willing to walk up to a stranger's house, knowing that this life is going to get slammed in their face, and they do it time and time and time again. To me, that is inspiring. And every time they show up to my house, I always listen, try to be respectful. And then, of course, when they try to hand me their pamphlet and I say no thanks, but good luck to you, those kinds of things, because I want them to be motivated on their path. Just as if I was a rejected, or if I wasn't, if I put success on this, defined outcome, and I wasn't getting that defined outcome, that I would want somebody to inspire me to keep going, to keep pressing. Yeah, my wife and kid are huge inspiration and motivating factors. My wife will say, "Oh, you give me too much credit." Man, she is pretty amazing. My daughter's the same way, even at 14 years old. But here's the thing. You have to be willing and open to receive that kind of inspiration and motivation. If it's coming from people that you don't know, or rock stars, movie stars, what I would consider untouchable. I'm not going to be able to sit down and have a conversation with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I would love to.
You never know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty confident in that.
We can no.
See more effort.
No, here's the thing. Exactly. Because here's the thing. If you will it, it will happen. There's a thing that I teach people all the time, and part of that effort that you're talking about, part of that mind shift change that you can start just in your day-to-day practice. Not only can it change how you are as a firefighter, how you are as a spouse, but it can change your business. It can change your wealth. It can change your view and the people you end up getting in contact with. So it's a possibility.
Have you ever heard the term practical enlightenment?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I'm willing to put in the work or the effort to be able to sit down and have a conversation with The Rock or Adam Sandler or, Black.
What's the immediate thought that comes to your mind if I were to say, "Hey, Adam, I got an email from The Rock and I want you to take the call with him"?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Oh, you're setting me up. That's not a real thing. Oh, okay.
No, what if I really did?
No, I would totally say, yeah, let's have a conversation. I'm sorry, it was just a phone call. Can we do a video conference call, right?
I mean, you could do that too, because I know you want to see him ripped and all. Like,
I do. Yeah. No, I want to see more me.
I mean, he did just do an Instagram video in his towel, so I was like, oh, right.
Yeah. But even for me, who grew up in a single family household, who took a role model from my uncle and from the men at the firehouse to teach me things that my mother couldn't teach me, and then even when you're discover that what my role is supposed to be as a man. I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but it's really just my interpretation of what I'm supposed to do. Honor, trustworthy, communication, ownership, those kinds of things. One of the big, icons, I guess, of inspiration for me is Steve Harvey, because I think he portrays a lot of those things. And a lot of his dealings, you think back to the misstep on the Miss America, I think it was, and he announced the wrong person, and he could have easily not addressed it, but he totally addressed it. He addressed it in the most public fashion and form that he possibly could, and took ownership for that mistake. And I think that's where we're lacking in a lot of that stuff, particularly from a leadership standpoint. Those of us in a white shirt, put on the white shirt and we think we have to be mistake free. And the reality of it is I've never been an assistant chief before. I don't know how this is going to go, and I'm going to make mistakes. But a lot of times we put ourselves on this unrealistic platform that we live mistake free, and that's not the case. It's a daily effort to make sure that I'm representing my organization and myself with our core values every single day. And some days I do better at it than I do others. Some days my fireman comes out, I let a little bit slip and I laugh at something I shouldn't, or I say something or use language I probably shouldn't. But at the same token, I think trying to
stop that shouldn't thing, that whole shouldn't on yourself.
Yeah. No, I still shouldn't. I'm pretty sure if we weren't doing a Facebook Live video, you'd be like, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. You'd be with me.
You know me, I grew up with a mom who cusses as a sailor, so
yeah,
kind of in my DNA.
100%. I don't know. Makes sense.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Well, I sincerely appreciate this, and I hope our viewers do too, in talking about how to create your vision. And please let us know below, what is your vision? Let us know. What inspires you to get up every day?
And I'm going to put in, I'll comment in the group about the Simon Sinek video between vision and goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
30 seconds or so. And yeah, I know it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you guys want to know more, please, you can message Adam. Can they message you if they really want to?
They can email me. I'll put my
drop a line in the comments if you want.
Yeah, drop a line in the comments. You can send me a friend request, or don't. I don't really care. But no, I'll put all that stuff in the comment section, and certainly appreciate any feedback. And tell me I'm wrong. I appreciate that too, because all I want is be the best version I can be. So the only way I can do that is if people tell me honestly. It's not like I'm gonna. Doesn't mean I think you're right, but I do want to know the feedback so I can get.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I'm going to give you feedback. Then I really, I do thank you. I think everything that you talked about is right on, in the sense of breaking it down into the different steps. When we have a conflict, or when thinking about our vision, a lot of times we try to go through it real fast, and it's really taking the time. And when I work with people, and that's the first thing we do, is we talk about, what's important to us, who are we, kind of the whole, also, not only Simon Sinek's the why,
right.
How he talked about Apple and developing your why, but talking about your values and where the values came from. But anyways, that five-step process to deal with conflict, you helped me realize basically what I do, and what probably a lot of us do, but putting it into, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And hopefully this can give some people some recognition on, even if you're in some conflict with your spouse or a loved one or your children right now, right? Especially if they're all home.
Yeah.
Taking those steps. So I think you did fabulous, and I love the whiteboard. So great job.
Yeah. So I think that order of operation is important. I think we have self-reflection, and not only in conflict, but also really everything that we're doing, right? If we want to know, there's a difference, right, in communication about how I am being perceived by others and how I perceive myself. And most generally, they're always going to be like, they're never going to be matched up. So we don't want people to self-defeat or to self-defecate, right? Shitting on themselves. The reality of it is we have to acknowledge and accept that how we present ourselves, how we're being perceived, is never going to be the same as we see ourselves. So really quick, let me touch on this. So if we have people that really want to do the very best job that they can. And we have officers and leaders and supervisors that are communicating expectations to the very best possible way they can. So why do we still have a breakdown? And most typically it's because of a process issue, right? And I think the last time you and I spoke, but I think it's really relevant in the fact of when we're talking about how we see ourselves and how we're being perceived is the same way as if I ask my daughter to clean her room, she shoves everything into the closet and the floor's clean.
Yeah,
So,
it's clean to her.
Yeah, I asked her to clean her room. She cleaned her room the way that she perceived it to be, not the way that I saw it for myself.
Even though you probably told her 10 times what a clean room looks like.
100%.
It's supposed to be, what your expectations of a clean room are.
But what you're talking about is, again, where the breakdown happens at. I told you versus showing you. Let me take you by the hand and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So even
doing it with them side by side.
We're doing it with them. That way they understand. And when we come back and follow up or we hold people accountable, it's not to try to catch them doing wrong. It's so that they understand the expectations. It's as much on us to make sure that we've communicated the expectations to the very best of our ability. How do we know that we're doing that? Through accountability, through follow-up, what's the results, those kinds of things. So it honestly goes right back to that success equals effort. So
right, absolutely.
If I'm willing to invest in my people, both personally and professionally, then it's going to take a tremendous amount of effort. And I do everything that I'm supposed to do to the very best of my ability. And I try to communicate every way I possibly can, including draw stuff on the board, and they're still not reaching that level. I don't think that's on me. Right? We have capacity and we have ability. And sometimes people have the ability, but not the capacity. And sometimes they don't have the capacity. They have the capacity, but they don't have the ability. Not every one of us is cut out to be a leader or an officer or whatever it is. And that's okay, but sometimes it's hard to take ownership in that and self-reflect. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you spending the time and investing in us here. Yeah. So thank you. I like that. I like that bonus.
Thank you for investing in me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you all. If you want to contact us, if you would like to talk more with Adam, feel free to message him or put it in the comments. You can tag him. We put a few comments or questions in the comments. Feel free. I know this was a good conversation, so we appreciate you all sticking in there. So thank you very, very much.
All right.
You're welcome. All right. Bye.
Bye.